Hello, welcome to the Mediocre Takes podcast, the podcast where we share our mediocre takes on the shows and movies we watch. I'm Margot and I'm here with my co-host Mel. How are you doing, Mel?
It was all planned out, nice and neat, and then we were struck with a tragedy. And I know it was because we recorded in October, and that's the spooky time where bad things happen.
Yeah, so fun fact, well, right now we're doing season 2 of Dead in Paranormal Park, and we plan to upload this sometime in October. Audio was completely silent, so we have to re-record the whole thing now. So it's very sad, very racist, very homophobic.
Yes, and
Mm.
we've only had to do this a couple times, like re-record an episode, but the second time just isn't as good because now we sort of know what we're going to say to each other, and funny things don't happen.
Yeah, so for example, during this one part of this episode of the first recording, I was talking about how Barney died twice, and I was like, if I had a nickel for every time Barney died, and I literally yelled, "You stole my thunder," because I was going to say that exact thing, and I literally yelled it, and Mel let me say it in the end, but it was so funny and it was so good, and it would have been so good to keep in for this episode, but because it cut off, we can't use it, so very sad.
Okay, take two. So, episode 1. Courtney is in charge of stopping any demon from entering the mortal plane while the gang, spelt G-A-Y-N-G, go out for mandatory staff bowling tournament. Out of fear, she allows the angel Fingers in and hides at the bowling alley. The gang is cornered by Fingers before Courtney stops him. Allegedly, all he wants to do is congratulate them.
Okay, so in the last season, I mentioned how I loved the intro to the show, and this season's intro I love as well. Like when Pauline ends up giving the whole park to Barbara, that was amazing. I loved it. Pugsley eating the popcorn that was on the ground was so gross, and then he peed in the claw machine. Literally disgusting. And Mal was like, well, there was a giant hand thing in the way, and I was like, still gross, you know? I'm a big boy, I wouldn't pee.
Okay,
Uh,
but are you a dog? Are you a silly little dumb dog?
Okay, good point. Gorg smiling when Barney said, "Fine, we can keep you," was so cute. It was adorable. I like the setup for the future episode. In this episode, it's nice foreshadowing. Pugsley saying you can be accessed with number 7 made no sense to me, but I find it entertaining. Why was that line in the show? I remember you said something, but I forgot what you said. I think it was a reference.
So he was playing a multiplayer game, and you get to choose the character you want. So they could have been the other husband as another character.
The kind of horror aspect in this episode was just as great as the first episode in the first season.
Yeah, all I have to say about this episode is I never had one good thought about Fingers. Since the first time I saw that man, I knew that he was nothing but trouble. No good vibes at all. It has a lot to do with the fact that he is British and also like a weird ass. He just gave me like weird mime vibes, which reminds me of France, which is a dirty, stinky, ugly place.
Fun fact, I did not know he was British until Mal mentioned it, and then it clicked for me why he was evil. Fuck the British.
Fuck the British government.
Yes.
And also like some of the
But
people.
also, no, I'm kidding. Some of the people. Some. Some.
And we are looking at you with that look that if you know, you know.
You know who you are, and we're coming for you.
Consider that a threat. Episode 2. Fingers tries to teach Pugsley simple spells. He ends up summoning evil Barney and Norma and good Courtney, as well as many duplicates of himself. Barney, Norma, and Courtney go through some character development before Courtney successfully disposes of all the Pugsley duplicates. The Barney, Norma, and Courtney duplicates are sent away in the elevator.
I love that Courtney's evil twin is actually a good person and has a demon support group. It's like the best thing ever I've seen so far in this season. When Courtney said she finally got home and she thought she would be happy, but she wasn't, that was really a great moment. When Lox and Barney said they loved each other, I felt like I wanted to be a man hater. I don't know, I think they're an okay couple, but I don't really care about them. Okay, so I hate how obviously evil Fingers is, and I wish they would have made it more of a surprise or something along those lines, because I think it would have been way cooler and made him a better villain. Okay, so the Norma likes body reveal. I'm going to be honest with you, Mel. I did not see it coming, which is not a surprise to me because I'm bad at telling when someone likes someone else in the show. But I was actually really excited for this when Norma realized this. It's sad that it didn't turn out the way she wanted it, though. Also, why does evil twin Courtney know that Courtney is actually a fallen angel? Like, that's never answered. Like, does she know it deep down inside? And I remember Mel mentioned that, like, they thought that Courtney knew it deep down inside.
Yeah, it was like a I thought it would be like a hidden or oppressed memory sort of thing. I'm not really a fan of the evil twin thing because usually it's used for conflict and not serious introspection. So I was so happy that we did get to see that in this episode, and they weren't necessarily quote unquote evil twins, but rather the worst part of them. Did you have something to say about that?
I don't remember.
Okay. See, this is why it sucks to have to re record something.
Yeah. It kind of ruins the moment, you know?
Oh, yes. The floating aborted Mewtwo fetus at the meeting. How do we feel about that? Because it made me physically nauseous.
Yes, it was disgusting. I remember saying that. You know, it was gross, nasty, deserved to be aborted type of nasty.
Oh my
A
gosh.
menace to society.
Wait, is this proof? is this
What?
is this proof that the original sin is a real thing and if babies die they go to hell? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, so the first time I watched this, I didn't understand why Barney tried so hard to hide his evil twin from logs when Norma let hers on the podcast with Badia. Also, at first when I watched this, I didn't understand why he hid the fact that Pugsley was successful in duplicating himself when he talked to him. But I understand now why that happened because it wasn't actually current time Barney talking to Pugsley. Also, good Courtney trying to get the demons to assimilate is colonizer behavior. Episode 3. Pugsley finds out about Barney's double life as a wrestler. He participates in an official DWF match where he has to battle his coach. Barney almost wins, but loses in the last moment, but he still had fun, and that's all that matters.
Okay, this episode is a strange one and I do not like it. Mal, I understand why you said you don't like Pugsley. When he said I can't poo unless you're watching, I felt so gross. It was literally so disgusting. I don't know what the writers are thinking with that one.
Okay, but it is kind of dog behavior because my brother's dog, the only time he can eat is when someone is actively looking at him. So it is a weird dog behavior, but also, this is the reason why I don't like animals talking. They just say weird shit.
Yeah, definitely. When Barney said he can come here to be completely himself, I was happy for him, but that doesn't change the fact that this episode was weird to me.
The thing I had to say about that was I really do love how Barney talks about how he feels more comfortable around demons, especially since there is this historic connection between monsters and queers. I think a lot of us can sympathize with monsters in movies because, like us, they are ostracized or harassed slash attacked because we don't fit in with everyone else. I'm sure there's a video essay out there that goes more into depth about this topic, but I'm just glad that it was brought up.
Yes. Okay, so you may be asking, what didn't you like about this episode? And to that, it was mainly Barney. I get that being a wrestler was his dream and everything, but when he started talking about B-Rex, I felt literal cringe. I don't know, I just don't like it. Wrestling is fake anyways, so.
Oh my god. Marco, is this where I come out to you for being a wrestling fan? Don't be mad at me.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, you know? No,
but
I'm kidding.
but you don't understand. There's so much drama, Marco. And they do like all these flips and stuff and they like hit each other and it's so funny. Yeah, so the demon controlling the grandma mech was truly a Plankton from SpongeBob moment. I also really like how we got to see a bit of Barney's childhood in this. I feel like this should have been obvious, but I had no idea he would be a ginger. Like his younger brother is a ginger, his mom is a ginger, but his dad had gray hair, so I was kind of assuming that he wouldn't have orange hair. Like he'd had like brown hair or something. Also, not Logs getting jealous over a 1,000-year-old demon. Pretty cringe if you ask me. But also a really good setup for a future conflict. Episode 4. It's finally time for everyone to properly meet Barney's family. Norma, Pugsley, Courtney, and Fingers make it their mission to create a perfect dinner party with a magical book. Chaos ensues before everyone defeats the demon from the magical book with good vibes.
So I hate the beginning where Barney is talking about how much he likes slogs. It's literally so gross. Listen, Mel, I think you're rubbing off on me because I am becoming a hater of these men. I love when Courtney mentions that she's shaped like a croissant. Oh, I love the eyeballs and how gross Harmony looks in this episode. It's a really cool design. This episode I didn't hate as much as the last episode, even though there was a bit of awkward humor. I think it has the right amount of awkward humor, so it wasn't the worst experience for me.
Okay, using the ability to listen to people's thoughts in order to get them to argue with each other is so clever. It was also like a real fear of mine when I was a kid. Like, I was truly afraid of people being able to read my thoughts. So, whenever I was in public, I'd filter my thoughts to make sure I didn't think of anything embarrassing in case someone was listening to my mind.
Due to my mental health issues, I did in fact experience something similar to what Mel was talking about. I thought people were reading my mind. It was a crazy time. And now I'm on medication. Like, isn't that great for me, guys?
We're so proud of you, Marco. We're all clapping and snapping and we're saying hurrah and we're setting off fireworks. We're so proud of you, Marco. I also really like Harmony as a monster concept. Feeding off negativity and fear, that's pretty slay. If he were a woman, I would have really been rooting for him. Episode 5. Fueled by deadly premonitions, Pugsley becomes overly protective of his family. While on a Ferris wheel, Pugsley finds out he can reverse time and uses it to try and stop drama of the romantic kind between Barney and Logs and Norma and Badia. He gives up after failing hundreds of times, and Norma tells him it's okay to let her get her feelings hurt.
I really love this episode. I really love when Norma gives Pugsley permission to let her get hurt emotionally. It's such a good scene. When Barney and Logs both admit the demon guy was hot, it was really weird. Not hot, not sexy, not good. 0 out of 10 stars. I love the use of time travel in this season. Like, I love how everything is executed so well. I was not expecting the Rubik's Cube thing Courtney was playing with to be some kind of demon seal. I hate time travel where everything is set in stone. So when we got the ending of this show, I really loved it. I feel bad for Noah, but at the same time, I can appreciate that she was rejected by Badia. I think that having clear representation where not everything works out in the end is really important, and the execution of this was good, but I think I would have loved it a lot more if they actually got together.
Yeah, I felt for Norma when she expressed her feelings to someone who wasn't interested in her, because I was in that exact same situation summer after freshman year of high school, and it was the worst feeling my heart had ever felt at that moment in my life. And we've talked about diversity in this show, and though it hurts to watch, I'm also happy they showed rejection because it's really, really, really important for the youth to understand that it's a thing that happens, but it's also not the end of the world. In fact, in this scenario, Pugsley letting her get rejected is what stops the end of the world, which I thought was really cool.
In this episode, Finger says Badia, Norma, and friends to stop demon violations at a party. During the party, Norma and Zagan have a talk about how being not okay is okay. Courtney finds a demon that looks like her, and Badia realizes that Norma needs some space. The episode ends with the demons being sent to prison and Norma quits her job. Okay, so Badia, I love her, but her trying to get Norma and Zagan together is such a dumb idea, and I have no idea what she was thinking with that one. I love the strange relationship Tom Lucas and Pugsley have now. It's fun to watch when they start talking about the things they missed about each other. Oh my god, I love when people act like they're exes, even though they're not exes in a romantic way. It's such a lovable trope. Even though I think Norma X Sagan is a bad idea, I really appreciate the conversation the two of them had, where not everything has to be okay all the time, and it's sometimes okay to just not be good at every waking moment. I love the moment when Norma quits her job. I did not see that coming. Also, is Zagan bisexual? Because the demon lady says Zagan was never like that when they were dating. A bisexual vampire girl sounds awesome.
What did I have to say about that? I was like, what is it? Like bisexual vampire girl sounds like a Tumblrism.
Yes,
Was
he
it
did say that.
like a goth, like big tittied goth GF?
Yes,
It just gives off the same vibe.
yes, it
Okay.
does. It does give off the same vibe.
I know I said before that I love Norma and Badia's dynamic, but this episode just missed. I think it's because I just hate how they used Zagan in this episode.
What did you hate about Zagan in this episode?
I just think her implementation of her in this episode where Badia is trying to set her up with Norma was just weird. I don't know how they could have written a situation differently where in the end Norma and Badia do talk, but I didn't like this. Ew, you know what? I think it's because it definitely gives off that kind of oh, you're gay. I have a gay friend. Like that kind of thing.
I remember those days. Anyways, horrible times.
Yeah. I think that was the bad vibe it was giving me.
Yeah, definitely.
The one thing I truly did not expect and could have never predicted was the thousands of year old who's stuck in the body of a child. At this point, it's a requirement in anime, but now it's infiltrating cartoons and they must be stopped. I mentioned in our episode on the first season about how I feel on pop culture events being referenced in shows, and I really think we as a society need to retire referencing Twilight, especially since it's almost always the same scene. There are 5 movies in this series and so many bad scenes to choose from, so either pick a new one or let it go.
I remember asking you which scene was it referencing. So can you mention that again?
Oh yeah, so this oh my god, the scene they're referencing is the one in the first movie where Edward and Bella are in the woods and Edward is facing away from her and she's like behind him and she's like, "I know what you are." And he's like, "Say it." It's so dramatic and it's so gross and so stupid. I understand why they reference it all the time because it is all of those things, but they also reference it too much. It's also one of those references where if you've never seen Twilight and you don't know what the reference is, you're gonna watch this and you're gonna say, "What was all that about?" It's one of the many reasons why I hate Family Guy.
I was gonna say, what does this have to do with Family Guy?
Oh, Marco, have you ever watched an episode of Family Guy?
No, I have not.
Well, oh my god, you're blessed. But I'd say about 70% of the quote unquote comedy in that show is current events. And they're always cutting off to scenes that have something to do with a current event. So they'll make a joke about a politician from the 90s. And no one nowadays is going to understand that. So a lot of the humor from that show is lost. Like, no one's going to get it because they're making current event references that are just going to be forgotten as time goes on. But I also love that you've never seen Family Guy. I wish I were you. Also, The Watcher gives off that kind of entitled righteousness of someone who couldn't become a police officer, so they got a job as a security guard and has decided to make it everyone's problem. I honestly think the only things I liked about this episode was the fact that Norma and Badia talked through their troubles and Courtney finding their kin.
Episode 7. In this episode, Norma is spending the day with her mom after quitting her job. Logs comes over to borrow Norma's seance kit. While this is happening, Pauline is possessing Norma's dolls and is trying to possess Norma's mom. The episode ends with Pauline sneaking into Phoenix Parks once again, while Norma goes to apologize to Badia. Then we see an unexpected scene of Barney's and the others in a state of frenzy. The way Norma and her mom argue is so hard to watch, but I really enjoyed the family dynamic. Norma is over Pauline, rightfully so, while Norma's mom doesn't understand what's happening. I love how Norma tries to hide that she likes Badia, but Logs finds it so obvious. When Pauline said, "I finally reached my goal weight," I was like, oh my god. I love Get In Losers Who Are Going Shopping reference. The coming out scene was great, and I know people are tired of coming out scenes, but I think they're so important.
I don't understand how people are tired of coming out scenes. I think that I'm tired of bad coming out scenes, especially since they were usually bad to create drama back in the day. But I really do believe that we need more positive coming out scenes, especially, to give the youth some hope.
Also, make them less dramatic, you guys.
I
Literally.
know.
Yeah, it's terrible out here.
I think it's actually more
Anyways.
fun to watch when someone's like, "Ah, I'm gay," and someone else is like, "Oh." Anyway, like, I think that's better.
I'm surprised that Logs didn't just straight up say what's going on. Like, he obviously needed Norma's help, and I get that she isn't working at Phoenix Parks anymore, but it's still kind of a bad writer's decision that they did that. I get that they did that for plot reasons, but in my mind, it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I was waiting for a possessed doll episode. I also loved that we got an episode with Swati. I also usually hate conflicts between a parent and their child, but seeing the immediate regret on both their faces when they hurt each other was really nice. Like, Norma's going through stuff and she's kind of acting out, but you can see that Norma and Swati still love and care about each other, and I am not at all jealous of that. So, in episode 5, I mentioned how it's so important to show rejection. So the fact that we get a more in-depth discussion was so nice. And I think just every topic in the conversation between Logs and Norma, like the gay slash bi explosion, staying in the closet, etc., etc., it was just so great to see such an open discussion about them. And let me just read a quote. I just want to get inside of you and move you like a puppet. A real quote from season 2, episode 7 of the show Dead End Paranormal Park on Netflix.com.
The movie like a puppet part is weird. Episode 8. In this episode, Barney dies again, and everyone is trying to find a way to revive him. Fingers and Pugsley make a deal that if Pugsley succeeds in reviving Barney due to Fingers' teachings, then he will do something for Fingers. In the end, Barney is revived, but we find out that Fingers was the one who caused Barney's death in the first place in order to get Pugsley to go to the 4th floor of the Angels. Okay, so I did not see Barney dying twice in the series. Oh, so this is the part where I talk about if Barney had a nickel for every time he died, he would have 2 nickels, which isn't much, but it's weird that it happened twice. Mal, you ruined the moment. Anyways, now I will say that I don't really like the other ghost people. The only ghosts we've seen so far that I'm fond of is Paulina and Barney, of course. But the randoms that are in this episode, I was not a fan of. I like how Barney was talking about how he was going to be the leader of the team and then immediately died. Iconic. Now, this is my hot take, or maybe it's a mediocre take, but Barney was insufferable in this episode. And I get that he's dead, but man, I really don't like Barney's character. The way he acted was just so annoying.
Oh my gosh, if I had a nickel for every time Barney died. How do you feel about these kind of two-part episodes where 2 events happen at the same time, and in one episode we see one side, and in the second episode we see the other side, and then also we see the 2 conflicts combine?
Okay, so I already mentioned this in the last time we recorded this, but Hunter x Hunter does something similar in the Chimera Ant arc, and I know, Mal, you don't want to watch it, but we are going to watch it eventually,
No,
so
we're not.
yes,
No, we're not.
yes.
No! No, you got your Utena. You got your Utena. You got your one anime that you forced me to watch, okay? And I got my Halloween, okay? And that's it. We're even.
But what about Megan?
What about, oh my gosh. I'm gonna throw my headset at you. Oh,
Okay,
you and
maybe
me.
we'll watch it.
How many episodes of Hunter x Hunter are there? Megan is a standard timed movie. How many episodes are in Hunter x Hunter?
Over 100.
Okay, yeah. And then also, what does this have? What is it? Incest? Which one was it?
Oh, this one has a pedo in it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
A pedo
Cool.
clown.
Cool. We're not watching that.
Okay, fine. But the Chimera Ant arc is really good. It's like so good. It's so dark and like not in a pedo way.
You
Okay,
know, if
I
you
just
want,
want to say that.
we can do that thing where we get our own solo episodes and you can talk about your little pedo show.
Just to be clear, I do not approve of Hisoka. Okay.
Whew, that was a conversation. They touched upon one of the heaviest topics they could have, which is actual permanent death, and Barney having that moment of weakness where he was promised that all of his pain would go away if he just let go. I feel like, well, sadly, a lot of young and especially queer people resonate with that. So I'm glad that it's a topic being discussed more in media aimed towards the youth.
Episode 9. In this episode, Courtney, Norma, and Barney go to Angel territory and get captured on purpose in order to find Pugsley and save him. We learn that Courtney is a fallen angel, and we also learn that the Watcher is Pugsley. Norma having Gord help her is such a funny scene to me. Courtney being a fallen angel is such a good twist. Like from the very beginning, there have been questions that needed to be answered when it comes to Courtney's past, and I'm really glad we got some answers to those questions. This still does not explain why she doesn't remember anything about her past, which is so annoying. I wish we got another season of this show. It would have been so great. It also doesn't explain where she got her angel cuffs, by the way. Speaking of twists, Pugsley being the Watcher made so much sense to me. I wish we got more scenes of the Watcher from the very beginning because it would have made a bigger impact in this season. I will say 2 things though. I do not like how the Watcher has a gigantic head. I'm sure they had a reason. I'm sure they had a reason to make him so big-headed, but I still don't like it.
It's because he's a big-brained intellect, Marco. You wouldn't get it. His
Pretty sure
IQ
you
is over
mentioned that last time.
2,000.
It's over 9,000.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
young Sheldon wishes.
The second thing that I don't like about the Watcher is the way they changed his voice. I get that his voice has to be different so that it isn't obvious that the Watcher is Pugsley and to make scenes more serious, but I do not like it. Also, I found it strange how angels act differently once they become fallen angels. It's an interesting thing if they like went into it and explained why they change. Like I think that would have been really interesting. It's sad that they didn't though.
It kind of seems like they just grow conscious. A conscious. You know what I mean?
A conscience.
Yeah, because they sort of just seemed like cookie cutter normies when they were angels, but once they got that little ouchie, they seemed like kind
They're
of
like
normal.
revolution.
Like a revolutionary girl? Okay,
Oh my god. I was gonna say we're the fallen angels because we want revolution.
Oh my god. Okay. So put your mic down,
Anyway.
Marco. I was completely blindsided in this episode. The revelation that Courtney is a fallen angel truly took me by surprise. Never once did I have an inkling that she was an angel. I literally thought she just had amnesia or was an extinct demon or her family was just hiding from her because they were ashamed of something she did. And then Pugsley being the Watcher, I hated that because I feel like at least with the Pugsley twist, I could have predicted that if I paid a bit more attention, but I didn't. Also, I knew Gord was going to save the day when they ran off. I could feel it in my kidney. Truly the MVP.
I kind of have a theory of why Courtney had her angel cuffs in the first place. I think they set her down there on purpose so that way they could set up the timeline for Pugsley and Norma and Barney. So that's why she has her angel cuffs and that's why she doesn't remember anything. That's my theory, at least.
You know, when you say that, that makes me not want a third season. I don't know how to explain this, but I hate the long game. When someone sets something up from season one and then you get it back like literally seasons later, something about that just pisses me off.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's just, how do I say this? I think it has to do with the fact that I don't like smart people. So whenever someone does something clever, I get mad at them. Does that make
Wow.
sense?
I guess it makes sense. I don't know. I think humans are just irrational, so you're being irrational right now. Episode 10. In this episode, Barney and the Watcher fight because Barney is time traveling in order to change the future of Pugsley. Eventually, the Watcher realizes that he is Pugsley and comes back to his senses. In the end, both future and current versions of Pugsley sacrifice themselves in order to save the others, and Fingers is cut off due to it. Okay, so I love, or maybe I just like this episode. I like how we slowly see the Watcher exchange back into Pugsley. I love the ending where Norma goes back to talk to Tim Lucas and Sagan, and I really love the jailbreak scenes. I think that this is a good episode, but I'm unhappy about how they let Pugsley live at that end. Like, if you're going to do this huge self sacrifice scene, at least let the death stay.
Okay. So, top of the hour. Pauline mentioned she couldn't wear a fez because of the backlash she got from her Pauline of Arabia miniseries. It is now canon that Pauline did something racially and or culturally insensitive, and I'm not at all surprised. In fact, I expected it. Also, I really don't know how I feel about time travel, mostly because the story becomes so convoluted and my gaggle of brain cells can't comprehend it and I just get angry. I wasn't as angry as I usually get, but I still got mad when we saw Barney go back in time and show us the times he tried to warn them, like with the dinosaur costume and literally talking to Pugsley about not trusting Fingers. Anyway, I've shitted on Pugsley this whole series because he is annoying and I stand by that. That being said, he's still a dog. So I did, in fact, cry when he was blasted, and I know his ending is ambiguous, and I know you didn't really like that. But, like, Marco, he's a dog. He can't die.
I will say that Mel and I talked about this also during the first recording, but I did almost cry when Pugsley died. I was talking about how I'm kind of a dog hater, and this is what I came up with during the time that we were first recording to now. I was gonna say I hate Man and Man's best friend.
Okay. Wait, what do you mean by that?
Man's best friend is a dog.
Yeah.
Have you not heard that?
Yeah.
So I hate both of them.
Oh.
That's what I mean.
Wait, no, 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 that's not fair. That's not fair. Wait. That's like no, you can't say that. That's like saying um Oh, I don't like bread, so I hate sandwiches. No, wait,
Okay.
no, 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 wait, wait, wait. No, I have a better one. Let me think. Oh, I hate no. Give me a second. Oh, wait. But you know
Okay.
what I mean, right? No, no, guilt by association. You can't do that, right? It's not the dog's fault
Right.
that man decided that that would be his best friend. Also, statistically, I think dogs like women more. So, in your face.
So I'm being a woman hater?
I'm saying that thinking negatively towards dogs because of the term man's best friend is the wrong way to think about it because that is not even technically true. Also,
Ah.
men are more likely to hit their dogs. So, that's just a fact.
You're not wrong, but,
Facts over feelings. Sorry.
okay, anyways, I don't really hate dogs, you guys. I just wanna make that clear.
That really hurt my brain, by the way.
Overall, I think this is a really great show. It's sad that it came to a close this early. Netflix sucks. Honestly, we should boycott Netflix too.
So this was a really cute show, and it not only brought up important topics, but discussed them in such open and simple terms, which was really nice to see. And because of that, I'm not at all surprised it was canceled. It's too emotionally intelligent of a cartoon for Netflix to have greenlit another season. I do hope that the creator gets to finish his story in some way, because I would have loved to see what happens with Pugsley. I see a hypothetical season 3 going one of two ways. So, in both scenarios, they battle and defeat Pale, but in one scenario, they successfully get Pugsley back, and in the other, everyone gets to give their final goodbye to Pugsley. There was a lot of potential here, but there's like no companies nowadays that are willing to give someone a chance to start and finish their story if it isn't an instant hit and brings in millions of dollars immediately, which sucks. And one of these days, these companies will fall, but for now, we the people will suffer.
Let's pray on their downfall.
Our thoughts on this show may end here, but we still have things to say. Get ready, everyone, because it is time for a little segment. I like to call it the Mediocre Minute. This is a tiny little micro moment where me and Marco recommend books, comics, music, games, and more for you all to not check out because this is actually where you switch to a new podcast. My recommendation is the comic series Something is Killing the Children by James Tynion VI. I personally know James from all the DC comics he's been a part of, which are usually pretty good, so I had high hopes when I first started reading the comic. I feel like this is already a pretty popular series, but I've like just gotten around to reading it and I'm loving it so far. I think the concept for the monsters and their capabilities are really interesting. I love the art and the story has been great so far. I really like the main character, Erica Slaughter. So if you haven't already checked it out, give it a try. But also, content warning for gore and body horror and violence towards children. Marco, what is your recommendation?
Before I get into my recommendation, I just also want to mention that Something is Killing the Children is also on my to read list, and I'm really excited for it because a booktuber I watch really likes it. So, and you like it too, I guess. My recommendation is a little game called Piku Niku. This is a little cute puzzle platformer where you come out of a cave and fight capitalism. It's really sweet, it's really heartwarming. I love the soundtrack, and it's just a really fun time. And that's what I recommend.
And that's so funny because I've actually been meaning to play that because of
Yeah, I
you.
told him not to play it. Yes, I hope you like it. If you want to send us a voice message on Spotify for podcasters, there'll be a link in the description to do so. We also have an Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads, which are @MinTakesPod, and that's everything. So, goodbye.